Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Earthquake and tsunami warning for Alaska just issued. Thank you, Dragon, for highlighting that and drawing my attention to that tonight. So we'll give you some information on that, of course. Also, the MAGA meltdown continues, and Trump appears to be his own worst enemy. What is his kryptonite? This president who has been portrayed as Jesus, as the Pope, and even as Superman? Well, it appears President Trump's kryptonite is the Epstein files. We'll explore that again tonight because it is the story that just will not quit, even though Trump wants everyone to stop talking about it. We have that, and we also have Mark Carney pivoting on the trade issue, taking steps or announcing steps today to protect Canada's steel industry, and he in turn is targeting China. So we have that, and Joseph Lenard is supposed to join us a little later in the broadcast to do exactly what I was hoping would happen. He went to see the Superman movie, and we will get a brief and final, well, sort of semi-brief. I don't know how long the conversation will last, but it will be later in the broadcast, near the end. He'll join us later on, and he'll tell us what he thought of the movie. This from our friend in Detroit who came out sort of against the movie initially without having seen it. We had a conversation about it. A lot of people saying it's way too woke. We'll find out what Joseph really thinks of the movie now that he's actually gone to sit through the presentation from beginning to end. So we have all that and more coming up right here on the Maverick News Channel. Stay with me.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We are back, and I am just checking in to get the most up-to-date information on what is happening up there in Alaska with the earthquake and tsunami warning. Okay, 7.3 magnitude earthquake. Okay, so this happened at 12:37 p.m. Alaska time today. As I say, a 7.3 magnitude earthquake struck 54 miles south of Sand Point on the Alaska Peninsula at a depth of 12.4 miles, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The quake, initially reported as a 7.2, prompted the National Tsunami Warning Center to issue a tsunami warning for parts of South Alaska and the Alaska Peninsula from Kennedy Entrance to Unimak Pass, covering cities like Sandpoint, Cold Bay, and Kodiak. And I think we have, well, let's go to Twitter and X and see what is being posted on social media. With regard to this tonight, here we are. Oh, we just lost the tab. We'll bring it back. It's a 7.3 magnitude. And I hate when that happens, when we lose the tab, because then I have to get it back, and that takes time, and it just disrupts the whole flow of everything. But this is a very serious matter, so we're going to show you. And here we go. So here's what's happening on social media. Here, there's the warning. National Weather Service issued a tsunami warning. A series of powerful waves and strong currents may impact coasts near you. You are in danger. It says here in this emergency alert that was sent out, get away from coastal waters, move to high ground or inland now. Keep away from the coast until local officials say it is safe to return. Okay. And you can see Alaska's earthquake center map there, red area showing, I guess, the hazard area.
My first time back in Alaska in 25 years. We're in Seward. We have a tsunami warning, 7.2 earthquake. So we are all being evacuated to this church. Right, honey?
Yep.
Do they have an ETA on the earthquake yet?
It's on its way. If the tsunami is coming, it'll come.
Well, just pray that we don't get waved.
He's over there. That Oakland Raiders fan is over there.
So I guess the all clear has been issued, and life, I guess, is going to return to something close to normal in Alaska. So within an hour, by 1:50 p.m., the warning was downgraded to a tsunami advisory, indicating a lower risk of significant flooding, but still warning of strong currents and waves in coastal areas. This story really just being posted in many places just within the last hour or two. And the Kodiak Emergency Operations Center reported that the first waves could reach Kodiak by 2:41 p.m. But as we're seeing here tonight, the all clear has now been issued. So the Alaska Earthquake Center recorded over 20 aftershocks from that earthquake, at 7.2 magnitude earthquake. The largest aftershock was a 5.2 magnitude, with more expected in the coming days. No major damage or casualties have been reported so far. And the United States Geological Service issued a green alert, indicating a low likelihood now of significant losses. And let me just see if I can find out what the exact state of things is at this moment. Okay. So let me just dip out of this for a moment, and we will be right.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So yes, the tsunami alert for Alaska has now been canceled. I can tell you that officially. And the National Tsunami Warning Center lifted the tsunami advisory. Well, what time is it here now? 7:04. So actually, it was probably at 4 around just about 2 hours ago, approximately. So the information trickling in here, a little bit behind, but coming into me just as we were going live. So that is the latest information. That's the most up-to-date info we have. Small waves of about 3 inches were observed, but no significant impacts, even though they issued the tsunami warning there. However, authorities advise vigilance due to possible aftershocks. Of course, aftershocks, generally speaking, usually almost always, are not as strong as the initial earthquake. That's 7.2 magnitude quake. So that's what happened in Alaska this afternoon, and people there still dealing with it and a bit of a scare. But in the end, everything is okay. Now, there was also this story today out of Vancouver about a possible, well, reported hijacking involving a small aircraft. As a result, military aircraft were scrambled. Yeah, and we lost our tabs on that too. Something weird going on with our computers here in the last couple of days. I do apologize. In any event, yes, we have, where's our footage? We'll come back to that, is what we'll do. If we can get our computers to settle down. All right. So with that being said, let's pivot over then to Mark Carney, shall we? He today announced measures to protect Canada's steel industry in the face of these tariff threats from Donald Trump. There's my tab right there. Yes, so he unveiled these measures today to shield Canada's steel industry from global trade turmoil, mostly which is being caused by Trump going to war on the trade front with virtually every nation on the planet. So he was at a steel facility in Hamilton, the steel city in Canada, of course, today, and Carney announced a robust plan, described by many in that way, to protect Canada's steel industry, which is being battered by Trump's 50% tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. Carney has declared, quote, "Steel is the very foundation of Canada," emphasizing the need to shift from reliance to resilience in the face of a fast-changing global market. Under fire from critics, especially those on the conservative side, who say that Carney has his elbows at his side and clearly tucked in after talking tough during the election on the trade issue. They're saying he's got his tail between his legs because he has been saying that now he's not confident that a trade deal can be reached without some sort of tariffs remaining in place. I'm not sure that that is necessarily him having his tail tucked between his legs now, or that his elbows are at his sides. I think maybe what's more accurate is that he's determined to maintain some Canadian tariffs, I would say particularly for the dairy industry. And in order to do that, I think he probably realizes that if you're going to have tariffs on one side, you're likely going to have some on the other. And since Donald Trump is married to the idea of using tariffs and is committed to it, I think that, we're probably going to see tariffs integrated into whatever kind of trade deal we end up with. And that isn't really any different than anything we've had either through NAFTA or the USMCA trade deals. It's just part of the trading arrangement between Canada and the United States. It has been throughout my lifetime. There have always been some tariffs in place. We will see how it plays out. Here's Carney today at the steel plant in Hamilton.
Yes, to get to where we need to go, we need to overcome some immediate challenges. In recent years, the global steel industry has been undergoing a fundamental shift. Shifts driven by many factors, but I'm going to point out particularly foreign competition that unfairly benefits from non-market policies and practices. And now, the trade actions of the United States are further transforming global steel market dynamics and supply chains. Let's be clear. Canada will be one of the countries most impacted by these developments. It's because we are highly exposed to this fundamental restructuring that's happening in the global steel industry. We have substantial steel exports. We have very high per capita steel use. And we have a disproportionately open import market. In fact, we have one of the most open steel markets in the world. Imports supply almost 2/3 of current Canadian consumption of steel, compared to less than 1/3 for the United States and less than 1/6 for the European Union. And over time, we become too dependent on the United States as our biggest customer, with more than 90% of our steel exports going south of the border. So moving forward, we must diversify our trade relationships. And above all, we must rely more on Canadian steel for Canadian projects. And those shifts start today. In an increasingly unpredictable and unreliable world, we must focus on what we can control. Nous pouvons positionner nos industries pour qu'elles réussissent. Nous pouvons préparer notre main-d'œuvre. Avec le bon plan, nous pouvons contrôler notre destin économique. Nous devons agir maintenant pour que notre économie reste résiliente et forte, peu importe ce que feront les États-Unis ou tout autre pays. Canada has what the world needs. We're becoming an energy superpower. And we are a leader in the building blocks of a modern economy. From high value-added steel, to aluminum, to critical minerals and artificial intelligence. And Canadians have just given governments the mandate to build big things, nation-building projects that will transform our economy. We have the potential to become our own best customer for steel, but we will lose that ability if we don't manage the profound transformation now underway in the industry. And to do that, we have to change the way we do things so we can better support our companies and our workers during this time of change. And that's why I'm proud to announce today that Canada's new government will do several things. First, we will take a series of measures to stabilize our domestic steel market and prevent harmful trade diversion arising from current trade tensions. Informed by the review of our steel trade arrangements that we announced last month, the following changes to tariff rate quotas will take effect by the end of this month. For steel products from non-free trade agreement countries, we will tighten the tariff rate quota level to 50% of 2024 volumes and apply a 50% tariff on any imports beyond those levels. For steel products from partners with free trade agreements, we will introduce a tariff rate quota level for steel products at 100% of 2024 volumes and apply the same 50% tariffs on imports above those levels. The government is reviewing its remission framework to favor the use of Canadian steel and aluminum in Canadian-made products. And we will also implement additional tariffs on steel imports from all non-U.S. countries containing steel melted and poured in China. Our existing arrangements with our CUSMA partners will remain the same, including no changes to our current trade measures with the United States. The combination of all these measures will ensure that Canadian steel producers have a bigger share of the Canadian market. It will create more resilient supply chains and unlock private capital for Canadian production. But given the dynamics in global trade, we will reassess all of our existing trade arrangements with respect to steel, consistent with the progress made in our bilateral discussions with the United States, and will also take into account the steel negotiations that the U.S. is currently undertaking with other countries, because what happens in those will affect what happens here. Second, we will invest in Canadian steel companies and, above all, in Canadian steel workers. Building on previously announced enhancements to employment insurance and the EI work-sharing program, the Government of Canada will invest $70 million in labour market development agreements to provide training and income support for up to 10,000 affected steel workers. Through reskilling investments and increased worker supports, we will ensure workers have the skills and the support that they need to meet the future needs of this industry. To build a more resilient and diversified steel industry that serves the needs of a growing Canada, the government will provide $1 billion through the Strategic Innovation Fund to help Canadian steel companies advance projects that will increase their competitiveness, that will catalyze their production of steel products that are not currently produced in Canada, and to create jobs to serve growing sectors of our economy, including in defence. The Business Development Bank of Canada's Pivot to Grow initiative is also being enhanced to provide support to eligible small and medium-sized steel enterprises that face liquidity challenges. And $150 million of the government's Regional Tariff Response Initiative through its regional development agencies will be prioritized for the steel industries. And finally, the large enterprise tariff loan program that was introduced at the start of this year will be updated in several ways. We'll expand eligibility and provide lower cost financing to firms in the steel industry. These changes will include reducing the minimum annual revenue requirements of borrowers from $300 million to $150 million, reducing the minimum loan size from $60 million to $30 million, extending the loan maturities from 5 to 7 years, reducing the initial interest rate, all while requiring companies to retain and reinvest in their workers. Through this series of measures, will help ensure that Canadian steel companies have the capital and the workers and the time to build the skills, the tools, the facilities to serve a growing Canada.
Okay, so enough of that. I'll tell you, folks, is the is there what a difference in the approach and the tone. If you listen to Donald Trump, it's like, I don't like what you are doing with this, and I don't like that, and 1,000% tariff on you. With Carney, he's very meticulous. Did you even get it? It was so detailed in what they're doing, what they're applying to each country, when everything takes effect. It's all laid out. It's all very, very detailed. It's you got a plan. Trump is like, don't like you on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, it's like, I really don't like you now. 1,000,000% tariff on you. It's just two completely different approaches to everything. So I do have the tab open here now on this apparent hijacking at the Vancouver airport. Pretty tense moments up there through the day today. It was pretty dramatic. So what we had was at about 1:10 p.m. Pacific time, Richmond RCMP received reports of a Cessna 172, a small passenger aircraft, allegedly hijacked from the Victoria Flying Club on Vancouver Island. The plane then entered airspace over Vancouver International Airport, or YVR, as many of you may know it, prompting a swift response from authorities. Air traffic control recordings captured the tension, with the controller warning other pilots of the rogue 172 circling about 500 feet above the airport. Its intentions unclear. Actually, we have that audio. CTV got a hold of it. I think it's also out on social media. I will share it with you so you can hear what all the hullabaloo was about over there. I'll tell you right now, the plane did land. Also, U.S. fighter jets, a U.S. fighter jet was scrambled. Also, Canadian CF-18s scrambled. But in the end, the plane landed safely, and there was an arrest.
He had hijacked a Cessna 172.
We really don't know what will happen, but this aircraft is just circling overhead, and we don't know, of course, their intentions.
The plane landed here at around 1:45. Throughout the evening, investigators have been on site inspecting the plane and taking photos.
Yeah, so that's the audio as released by CTV News out in BC. A lot of confusion out there for a while. A lot of flights delayed. A lot of concern, worry. And here I'll show you just a little bit of a Twitter scroll for you to highlight what has been going on with all of that. Here we go. And as you can see, right here, somebody's saying suspect nabbed at YVR airport after hijacking a Cessna 172, circling airport, flights delayed. And let me just scroll up here. I think we have images of the arrest being made right here. Video.
In the skies above one of North America's busiest airports.
We do have an aircraft that has been hijacked, is in the vicinity of the airport.
In the skies above one of North America's
busiest airports. RCMP on site there. But bottom line is everybody's okay tonight, and didn't have to shoot the plane down. So thank God for that. But what the exact motives might be, still don't really know. So it's still under investigation. Authorities are still working to uncover the possible motive behind the event, and questions are lingering tonight, though, about how a small plane could disrupt one of Canada's busiest airports. And how did he get a hold of that plane out at the Richmond Flying Club to begin with? Looks like maybe some people got some explaining to do about their security measures out on Vancouver Island at the Flying Club. So we'll see what happens with that one. I've got the pictures of the arrest being made. I gotta show you that. Here it is. I knew I had them here somewhere. And there's the suspect. And these allegations have not yet been proven in court, even though they pulled him out of the airplane and arrested him on site. So you can try your own conclusions. But he was alone in the aircraft. So who did he hijack it from? He must have hijacked it from the flying club on the ground. Okay, so what else do we have for you tonight? Well, of course, we've got that whole Epstein files thing. I told you at the beginning of the program, I said, what is Donald Trump's kryptonite? The Epstein files, because it's the story that just won't quit. Ben Shapiro has come out and said, nothing to see here, folks. I'll run his clip. And then now he's under fire from other people within the MAGA camp. And Shapiro has been a pretty big Trump supporter, I think, but his voice alone, not enough to defend the Trumpster. Not enough to minimize the damage. This is a big one. This is a tsunami, like a real tsunami in Trump world.
Thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are. Okay, I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Okay, those tapes are just child porn. That's all. That's what they are. That's why the FBI is not releasing them. Okay, as far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list, that basically there's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts. And the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew or Alan Dershowitz or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI, and again, that's public. There's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them. Here is that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This has become the hot speculation on the internet, is without evidence. You say that Mossad was running Jeffrey Epstein. When I say without evidence, I mean without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said, quote, as a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed up with the former prime minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison for almost 30 years. And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad.
Okay, so that was Shapiro. Yeah, and Tucker Carlson has come out pretty hard on this and kind of mocking Shapiro at Turning Point USA, where he spoke. Not Shapiro, I'm talking about Carlson. So big split in the Trump camp. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project. He describes himself as a former Republican, and he was online today with Charlie Sykes, another former or self-described former Republican. These guys, of course, making hay with this, and very much opposed to Trump for quite some time now. And well, listen to this. I mean, they're just they're using this as political ammo.
Yeah, I know that's what I was trying to do. Match our heads.
Right. Match the head sizes. My head's gigantic, so I have to sit way back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on this live today. I am joined by my friend Charlie Sykes, who is a man who has been to this rodeo a time or two. We have always respected the fact that Charlie was one of the early adopters here. One of the folks who said right off the top, this ain't me, guys. I'm not in for this. And Charlie, your Substack is an excellent window, I think, still into the stuff that former Republicans like you and me look at our old party and go, what is going on over there? And right now, that what is going on over there is now day 8 or 9 of Epstein panic on the part of the Trump folks. And Charlie, give me your feelings on where we're at as of today, because every day I keep thinking, oh, come on, they're going to do that magic voodoo they do and get back on message, and they can't.
See, this is the thing. You and I have been having this conversation for 10 years now, right? Where it's like, is this the thing that will break? Is this the pivot? And so you put your finger on it when you said this is what day 8 or 9, because the magic thing has not happened yet. And I actually was interviewed by a reporter, and I said, look, I'm really earlier today. And I said, who asked me this question? Is this different? And I said, look, I'm really ever reluctant ever to say this is different. But the fact that we are on day 8 or 9 and the Jedi mind trick has not worked is ending, is a tell. And now you've been watching Donald Trump as closely as anyone. And I have to say that there's a couple of things. I mean, I think the flop sweat is pretty apparent, but also I can't remember the last time that he was this crosswise with his own base. And the fact that he put out that bleat this morning, basically saying to his own, supporters, you weaklings. Yes, you former reporters. I don't need you anymore.
I don't want or need you. Right.
Okay, so wow.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie, when I looked at that, I was like, he's so spoiled rotten about the control he's had over his base. I don't even think he understands how bad it is. I think they've been up his ass so long that he feels like that's the normal state of being is always that whatever he says goes, whatever he demands happens. And just today you had Tim Pool go out and say, who is as hardcore a Trumper as you can imagine, folks, go out and say that Trump is nuking his own base.
Yes.
Alex Jones having another cry in his car this morning, which I think is where he lives now. But he's out, practically in tears. Like, Trump doesn't understand. He's hurting us. He does all of it. And I guess the thing that we're seeing the symptom, but not the cause. And the cause of Trump wanting this cover up, the Trump ordering Bondi to do this. I think it's because they had a few weeks at the FBI with this material, and we're going through it and went, oh no, this ain't good. And you and I, we've talked about this on one of our chats. This is like, it's irrational the way he's behaving, unless you understand that he is implicated.
Oh, there are so many layers of irrationality here, including what was MAGA actually expecting here? This was the mother lode, right? This was the conspiracy theory. Yep. We're going to nail all of these evil pedophile Democrats. Well, what were they expecting about Donald Trump, given all of the pictures of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, the incredible paper trail? And we're probably going to get a little bit more of that. But again, going back to this question, and look at all the people that push this. I mean, this is part of the Jedi mind trick. It's like, no, there's nothing there.
Right? We never said.
I mean, Jon Stewart went through all of the crazy things. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, everybody. J.D. Vance. This is really, really important. This is really, really big. This is important. We will bring down the elites, and then Pam Bondi giving out letters saying that she had, hundreds of these documents on her desk and ordering the FBI to give her more, and then having the binder thing. One bullshit, there you go. One bullshit thing after another. Right. To then turn on a dime is an indication of just how, to your point, how arrogant Trump is, that Trump really does feel that his mastery, his ability to mold and twist facts to his will is infinite. It's like, if I shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and then I tell you it didn't happen, you will believe me. If I rape a little girl in the middle of Fifth Avenue and I say you shouldn't care about it, you won't care about it.
They care about it. I mean, I think,
Charlie, care about it.
We back in 2015 and 16, we started to see this thing rumbling up. Pizzagate, all that QAnon conspiracy garbage, and it was intertwined with all this Epstein storyline. So for a decade, when they weren't getting direct orders from Trump, they were playing that back on social media and in their personal lives. Well, I'm saving the children. I'm supporting Trump, so we'll save the children from the pedophile Democrat conspiracy. I mean, I just, that cognitive dissonance has got to be massive and growing every day.
Well, okay. I mean, I feel like, and this is where you and I both need to take a deep breath. David French had a really interesting point earlier today. He said, you have to understand how firm these alternative realities are, that there are millions of Americans who are just now, Rick, discovering that Donald Trump is a liar.
Whoops.
Okay, and we're like, yeah, what? Okay, wait,
Wait,
within
what?
the last decade. But I mean, when you think about it, I mean, going back to, you can grab women by the pussy, the fact that he has been found liable for sexual abuse. We've known the stories of him walking in on teenage girls at the Miss Teen pageant. There's nothing new about all of this. You elect a convicted felon, chronic liar, and now you're shocked to find out that maybe he's covering up his own wrongdoing. But maybe that's the case. Maybe there are people who have been so deluded or so isolated, and the fact that he's chosen this particular issue to cover up it. And I guess, again, I think that the main question is this any different than before? Well, the fact that, first of all, people understand it, people have been thinking about it, and every time he opens his mouth now, rather than doing that magic thing where he shuts people down, it is like the Barbra Streisand effect, the Streisand effect on steroids. People go, well, wait, maybe there is something in there. Why would you do this?
This is the most fascinating thing to me is like his miscues on this. Every time he goes out to try to wrap it up, it keeps the fire going. And at one point, Liz Crokin, who's one of those mad hatter conspiracy theorists, said, "Oh, Trump's playing 5G chess to blackmail the deep state with the Epstein." No, folks, this guy's just lost, and he doesn't get it anymore. And I wonder if you think that any of this is related to Trump's, having lost a lot of steps. He is not. The guy's clearly unhealthy. This is not the Trump we saw, even in 2024, much less in 2016.
I honestly don't know. But he has had, and you and I think probably agree on this. He's had this reptilian instinct where he knows how to stick with his tribe. The one time he got booed by his own supporters was when he was supporting vaccines, and of course he immediately backed off on that. Right. He has not allowed any daylight between him and his base until now. Now he has definitely lost some steps. There's no question about it. But there's also something about why is he so obsessed with this story? I mean, why? Let's play just this. I'm going to play a what if with you. Why not have Donald Trump do two other things in alternative realities, where he comes out and says, "Yeah, I used to like looking at young girls. So the fuck what? You knew that I was. I love beautiful women. Breaking news. Move on. Okay,
I was a dog.
I was a dog, and you wish you were too."
Okay, so enough of that for now. Joseph Lenard is waiting for us in the back room. Let's take a little break. And when we come back, we'll bring Joseph in from the Motor City Detroit. Stay with us.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I'm back, and somebody else is back too. Joseph Lenard from Detroit. Hello, sir.
Hello. And yeah, that's another thing I didn't go into in my Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book. These podunk small airports all over, private airports all over the places where planes literally are left unattended.
Hmm.
And anyone that knows how to fly can wander up, hotwire it, and steal it. So that sounds like what happened up by Vancouver today. I heard of it was from you because nothing's flashed across our news here about that.
Yeah, well, you got to pay more attention to us up here in the Great White North. Sometimes we have newsworthy things going on.
Yeah, if a U.S. fighter jet was scrambled, I don't understand why then that wouldn't have alerted the news to at least say something about it.
You would think so, but nope. No, we don't count down there.
No, well, the guy could have flew the plane into the Millennium Bridge out there. There was that scare. I go into the Millennium Bomber, and that was caught.
Although the one clip I ran was of ABC News, they did pick up on the story.
Oh, they did.
I ran a clip from CTV, and there was a clip from ABC. Both of them had the audio from air traffic control. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been flipping around between Fox News, Newsmax, and OAN, and none of them picked up anything. Or if they did, I was on the other channel at the time they did. But at any rate, we're here to talk Superdog.
Yes, that's right. Well, crypto stole the show, man. So
yeah. Well, I want to say one thing first that I said the other day. Yeah. Right, the alligator. Oh, now my phone's ringing because I didn't unplug it, of course. Can you hear it in the background?
No,
at any rate, okay, good. You can't. Yeah, but I mentioned some allegations towards James Gunn the other day. Now, I don't care enough about him for me to have bothered to look into these accusations and allegations. I mentioned that there is a cloud, according to some people, who, I've been earshot of. So I brought that up, but I don't care enough about him to look it up. I just thought it was newsworthy to mention and people could look. But I did promise to see the movie. You convinced me to do that, and I did see the movie. And you're right, I loved it, and I loved Crypto because Crypto, if it would have been another dog, maybe I'd have stuck to my what's a dog doing in here premise. But Crypto reminded me very much of Leroy, a dog just like him, also white. Same kind of dog when I was really young, and he was the same kind of rambunctious thing, always jumping on people, nipping at pant legs and shirt sleeves and ripping things up. So I know that kind of dog well.
Yeah, I have. He's upstairs. I think you can maybe hear him barking even as we sit here and have this conversation tonight. There's Crypto right there. I thought the dog was fantastic, although I think the dog is largely a CGI creation. I'm not sure.
It would have been hard. Well, you could train dogs to do quite a few things. So who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe some was, maybe. Oh, no. Well, that part, no, obviously not. But yeah, how much of it actually was a real dog interacting in like the snow with Superman there and jumping on him and nipping at him? And obviously that dog would not be strong enough to pull 170, 180, maybe even 200-pound guy, even though dragging him across ice and snow is not likely would have happened that way.
So just in case you're joining us, or maybe you weren't here the other night, the reason we're having this conversation is because Joseph was on the other night, and we were talking about Superman and all the controversy surrounding the movie because some people on the conservative side and the media influencers have been saying it's a woke movie. It's a piece of crap. Don't go see it.
Yeah, I myself jokingly said it's pronounced Woker Man, right? But you're right. I hadn't seen it at that point. Gunn is bringing it on himself by talking with left-wing media and bringing extracurricular left-wing notions into it that indeed aren't really there, but they're trying to impose.
Is that
upon
really
it.
the case? Like, I haven't paid much attention. I don't watch much television. I'm online all the time. Very little TV these days. But the sense I get is that the controversy was fueled mostly by the media, mainstream media on the right, like Fox News. And
the right is picking up on what Gunn has said on left-wing media. So the right is playing up the things he said, which are extracurricular really to the movie. They don't really indeed have anything to do with the movie, unlike Matrix 4, which again the co-creator got into a dust up with Elon years ago about the red pill blue pill thing. He said, oh yeah, well, I'll show you Matrix 4 is going to be a trans allegory woke film, which even he limited it to like 5 minutes of the one tirade section of that movie.
Okay.
But the whole trans allegory.
So let's come back. Let's come back to this then. But just give us your review of the film. So the other night you called it Woker Man without having seen it, right? Basically going, taking the advice or being influenced by. That's a better way to describe it, by what you'd seen on television or online, right?
Absolutely. I will admit to having been influenced by others. I thought I could rely on and trust to tell me straight, and clearly they're engaging in spin, attacking this film. It's like, I think if you owe it to the wife to sit down and watch Barbie with her.
Yes, well, that's exactly it. Like I have to say, I didn't go see Barbie.
You want people to influence you about that.
Right, but the reason I didn't go see Barbie is because it's Barbie, and I'm an older guy, and I'm not like a little, teeny bopper girl. It's just not a movie directed at me.
You are kind of a movie buff, so that's why I saw it. I'm a movie buff, so I'll see almost any movie. Within reason, which again, I'm still boycotting Snow Woke. No chance you're getting me to see that till it comes on free somewhere I already am paying for, something like that. But for a review, I give it a solid B plus, maybe even an A minus, and I take into consideration what you're saying. Indeed, the constraints on Gunn to mold certain things into it to set up the franchise going forward as part of the whole DC Universe reboot, not just the Superman reboot, but the whole DC related stuff boot. And Supergirl was in it very, very briefly at the end, just to set that up. Some of that up.
That's exactly right. So that's why I say that the script is actually, in my view, brilliant, because he had to incorporate certain things into it. He had to, the producers of the film, DC, the franchise owners, they said, James Gunn, writer, director, you must have Supergirl in this at some point. You must have the Justice Gang in it at some point. You must do this. You must do that, because they're setting up continuing storylines and expanding the DC universe out again, and as you say, rebooting it. And the Superman movie is the vehicle through which they are doing that. But then through that, even with all of that, he still took this movie and through the script, brilliant script writing, wove this very intricate story with multiple layers on it that allowed it to, on one level, be very simplistic for kids, on another level to be sort of very, very cerebral, opening all kinds of discussions and thought-provoking issues
valid,
that relate to like existentialism, philosophy, politics, morals, ethics, all of these.
And it's fair to ask those questions.
Yes.
It is more than fair. He wasn't preaching. He was raising the issues and the questions. I've got no problem with that in doing it. And I thought it was going to be a 3-hour movie. It's 2.5-hour runtime. He packed a lot in that script, which was good. The way they started it, they kind of started it off with the, like the Star Wars thing with the, not the same kind of scrolling, but the 6 months ago and 6 weeks ago and 6 days ago and then now, right? So they didn't have to spend that extra half hour, 45 minutes or an hour setting up where they drop you in.
Yes. And so, the script also, I mean, if you look at it, Superman intervenes in a war, and and they're fictional countries, but you can clearly take those countries and just change the names, and you can see that this is a movie that really reflects the issues that are facing us today. It could be, Palestine, Israel, or it could be Russia, Ukraine.
In a very generic sense, because none of the current, if I dare say that it might be more Russia, Ukraine, because Ukraine was clearly more the lesser and underdog, like the nation being invaded in the film, very, didn't have a lot to fight with.
I thought it was more Palestine, Israel, but you could look at it either way. So that's the beauty of it, right? It sort of puts the issue out there in a way where you can have a discussion with somebody without invoking the emotion that is attached.
The reason why I don't think it is Palestine, Israel is because we all know the terrorists attacked the bigger nation and provoked the war. Unlike in the film here, the smaller country didn't provoke the more powerful, bigger
just
nation.
Because you said Palestine, Israel, then said what you said, I know there are heads blowing up in the chat with at least half of the people right now. So that's why it's best
the anti-Semite crowd. Yes, exactly. That's exactly why they use fictional countries. And I am glad he did.
And the other thing I love about the movie is that the characters, Superman, the Justice Gang, the villains, they're not black and white characters. They have flaws, they have positives, they have negatives, they have good things about them and bad things about them. Even Superman, who's out there trying to do good, you can look at him and say, hey, wait a minute, who gives you the authority to intervene in a war? Was it right for him to take the leader of a country that he views as doing something wrong and then administer his own justice by tying the guy up to a cactus?
Judge, jury, and executioner. Right. Yeah, and indeed, just because you can intercede doesn't mean you should. There are a whole that's part of the questions that Gunn raises, and I have no problem with him raising. Can we, any of us, look in the mirror and say we're perfect? Right. If you dare say, any of you out there would dare say that to me, I'll fucking laugh in your face.
and even as we sit and talk about Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia, it depends on how you view these conflicts, right? So
just Iran, the U.S., Iran, although that hadn't blown up yet, obviously, until the film came out.
Yeah. And
but sensible people knew it was coming.
Yeah, and even the image on the screen. This is where basically a piece of propaganda, which may be rooted in something truthful. I think we'll find out more about that aspect of the film in a future episode. But the image on the screen right now shows Superman as the public rejects him because they think that because of what a piece of information Lex Luthor puts out through media, that Superman has actually been duping them. He's Duperman at that point, and they believe that he's there to rule over the world.
I like humanity. like what you did there. That was good. Duper, man. That was
but then
good.
by the end of the film, I won't give you the spoil. I won't spoil the movie for you.
As opposed to Joseph Biden, who would be Diaper Man. But that's a whole other.
Okay.
You know me, I can't pass. You kind of set that up. So
and then and then the Justice Gang, and they can't decide on what kind of name they should use, and it maybe sounds too dark. And then you look at the members of the Justice Gang who are sort of aligned in helping Superman basically save the world, right? But then Hawkwoman takes one of the the villains that is supposed to be a bad guy, and makes it pretty clear that she's not like Superman, and drops the person and kills him. So is that justice? And who gives Hawkwoman the right to decide that capital punishment is the way to go, right? So these are very complex issues, and for even for kids, they maybe don't look at it through the lens of seeing that kind of lens, seeing that kind of complexity to the script.
Yeah,
and I like my wife did either. Frankly, when I took her,
right, the Hawkwoman is willing to be a little more political, whereas the guy supposedly in charge, wants to be hands off and apolitical in everything, and until he's kind of forced into it, having to.
Because
these are the sides, you got to pick one. If you stand in the middle of the road, you're going to get run over.
See, like technically, if Hawkwoman should go to jail for murder.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, right. I mean, really, she was not deemed the executioner of someone who was on trial, found guilty, and would be put to death, and she just carried out the sentence.
But it was a bad guy, so it's okay.
Yeah,
see,
right.
Exactly.
These are perspectives, though. I mean,
doesn't matter if it's a bad guy or not. You killed the guy. Nobody gave you the authority to kill anybody.
Right. He was not put on trial.
Flew about a mile up in the air and dropped him.
Right. There was no Nuremberg trial there.
So very, very interesting film, and not sanitized like a 1970s or 1960s cartoon for kids, right? But it still has that veneer of innocence on it, so that kids can watch it. It's not so dark that it's going to warp your kid if you take them to go see the film. But it's a very cerebral movie,
right? For the kids, it's still the pretty clear good guys versus bad guys, although again introducing that thing about super or is he duper man. I like that. I'm stealing that. So I mean, it raises those questions, but the kids aren't going to see and quite understand that. They'll get the moral question, broader picture, I think, out of it still.
So you see, I give it an A triple plus. I just because it's so thought provoking. It's such a complex script. It has so many layers to it. It's a fresh telling of the Superman tale. He didn't just do what happened with the the reboot of Superman in like 78, I think it was, when the first Christopher Reeve Superman movie came out, where they just retold the Superman story with starting from the beginning when he's a baby and they shoot him off to Earth in the rocket. They pick it up when he's actually grown. They pick up the storyline there, and then weave all of these issues into the storyline and tell this whole story and make it a movie for today about today's issues, reflecting on everything from these wars to nanotechnology, tracking of people, state surveillance, privacy issues, whether or not you should be injected or exposed to, stuff in your blood that allows the state or maybe even foreign actors to track your movements. These are real issues.
The whole Lex Luthor putting forth, is that real or propaganda? Is it really how it ended? But Superman didn't know. He never saw that part of it. Raises the nature versus nurture question. Very good. And I love the guy that plays his dad in it, even though he's not in a lot. I really loved him in the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves. He was in Constantine, played a priest in that. So I like him, and I hadn't seen him in anything, and I don't know how long. So it was interesting to me that he played the part of Superman's dad there.
Yeah, the other issue that kind of comes up is, should Superman, for me, in this movie, becomes sort of a symbol of the United States and embodies what the United States sort of is, even though he's also portrayed as an immigrant from another planet. That issue comes up, but then it just expands on that whole issue that is before the United States today. Should the United States still be the world leader when it comes to, wars and keeping the peace? And should the United States be the world policeman, if you want to look at it that way, as they have been since World War II, because you guys have the nukes, right? And
you raised another question of something I said the other day. Unless if I missed it going to the bathroom some point, I thought the line was actually in the movie Truth, Justice, and other good things, rather than Truth, Justice, in the American Way. As far as I remember, from what that line was not in there.
I didn't hear it.
So yeah, I didn't hear it either. So again, that's a superlative thing people are saying outside of the film that aren't in the film. And I, in part, judged the film, calling it Wokerman, based on that change in the line.
And
why is the actor saying that outside of the movie when he doesn't? Or it was in there and Gunn was smart enough to cut it out.
I don't think that's the case. But you know what I don't see, this is the disservice that the media, and in particular the conservative media, is guilty of here.
I agree. I agree with you on this.
Because you see, that whole thing about truth, justice, and the human way, which has been said outside of the film as a way to talk about it, it is important, and in a way that should resonate with people on the conservative side, because of issues like transhumanism, metahumans, as they're portrayed in the movie, altering people's DNA. This is a real issue.
Normally would, but I think for whatever those allegations are against Gunn, and he is indeed on the left side of the aisle, so some on the right have just decided we have to hate him and hate this movie because of those other things, and are attacking him. And indeed, I apologize, they got away with suckering me into that crap. I apologize. I'm human. I'm frail. I'm flawed. I'm imperfect. I make mistakes. And
the larger point to be made here is that by the end of the movie, you're seeing that it's actually the movie actually through Superman kind of comes out opposed to transhumanism. Superman is saying, I'm human. I choose to be human, even though I'm an alien, because that is where you will find your virtue. That's where you'll find your moral compass. That is where you will find truth, right?
In many respects,
true to yourself, but not true to yourself in the sense that you are bound by the restrictions imposed upon you because of where you come from. You as a human, if you choose to be human, you choose your destiny through the choices that you make through life. And that is what Superman ultimately chooses to be through his choices in life. He chooses to be human because he chooses to be good and to help humanity.
Exactly. And from that perspective, that's a very conservative viewpoint and message there. Yes. Especially and my current Carpe Diem book. It's going to be called The Book of Kennedy. I've started putting it up on Kindle Publishing now, so you might even be able to see the book. You can't buy it, but The Book of Kennedy, about life and living and life choices. I had no idea that it would have any tie to this film, but some of those same themes of what we're talking about here regarding that movie is in the Book of Kennedy, Project Carpe Diem, coming out August 1st, type messaging also.
Yeah. So, and for me, individualism, that's at the core of, what my belief system is about, because individualism is what ultimately leads, in my view, to freedom and truth, not lies. Lies result in ultimately slavery. But these are the concepts really that Superman also embraces, and it's a question of existentialism, right? And a question of self-determination versus fate. And even though in the movie this raises questions because there's this message that comes from Superman's parents where there's a portion of it that is corrupted in the digital transmission, but somehow Lex Luthor claims to have deciphered it. And the second half of the message that Lex Luthor then delivers to the public, he says, is his parents telling Superman that he's there to rule over the world, not to serve and help humanity. And then Superman is faced with this dark question. Is this really what I am? Is this what I'm about? Is to dominate and rule over the earth? Or am I here to help people? But he has two sets of parents, and his earth, his human parents teach him how to be human.
Yeah, he has to question his biological parents and what he felt and thought of them, and indeed what he thought they thought his mission was.
Yes.
He did not understand it to be, if indeed that is what the real whole message was, and wasn't altered, wasn't a deep fake, another real world situation we deal with here in this time. And I want to repeat again, human, frail, flawed, imperfect. I can and will admit when I'm wrong and make a mistake, and I was wrong in this case. I relied on people that I thought I could trust to tell me straight in this, and they weren't. They're spinning.
It's perplexing to me because I find that, maybe I shouldn't be so perplexed, because this movie embraces what I would say classical liberalism, which is that's not to say like liberal party, Justin Trudeau liberal. And I'm talking about classical liberalism, which is what Western society has always been about. And that's what this movie, really embraces. It's about self-awareness. And if you are self-aware, you are a human being. You have choice. You can determine where you're going. Free will.
Religion comes in. Free will. Yeah. And Dennis, another time I have to admit to make a mistake. I have a meme I share that says you can lead a liberal to the facts, but you can't make them think. A political statement, right? But Dennis Prager set me straight. As you just said, there's a big difference between a traditional classical liberal and a leftist. Trudeau is a leftist. Biden is a leftist. He's not a liberal. He's a leftist. Same with Premier Blackface.
So
I will never let that go. I will never let it go.
And you shouldn't, because he should be held accountable for his actions and what he did with regard to that Justin Trudeau and his blackface stuff, right? Because he did it multiple times. But anyway, he's not the prime minister in Canada anymore. We've got a new dude in the chair.
The Carney clown. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He's to me, Carney is a complex character, because in many respects, like
I heard you say about he is far more polished politician.
Oh, yes, and
you were making the comparison between him and Trump. Night and day.
Way more conservative than Justin Trudeau. That's
why.
So?
I think,
Joseph,
I think that's a facade.
No, sir. You don't. People are attacking him because he's got the big L liberal brand on his chest right now. But you are not aware.
I hope.
Let me tell you something.
Surprised.
Let me tell you something. Mark Carney when he was the governor of the Bank of Canada. Stephen Harper, last conservative prime minister, asked him to be his finance minister.
Yeah, that's a fact I didn't know.
Yes,
So
there's a lot of stuff people don't know about Mark Carney that would surprise them. He is, I'm not saying he is a conservative. I'm just saying he's more to the center.
He's a moderate.
He's much more moderate.
Yeah.
Than,
well,
than
I wouldn't even call Harper all that conservative either, even though by
he is from Western
Canadian
Canada.
politics,
He was a pretty conservative. He was a pretty conservative prime minister. Certainly fiscally, he was. I think Harper did a great job managing the economy. He was much more. He was sort of the last cork in the in the stopper for immigration on Canada. After Harper was unelected, the immigration taps really opened up after that. So there was that issue. Harper was a pretty conservative prime minister for Canada. And certainly more conservative than you're getting from your Democrats right now. But no, I liked Harper. I thought he was a good prime minister. Did a great job with the economy at the time. And then, of course, we got the Liberals back in, and they started to spend like crazy and tax like crazy. But hey, man, you know what? Carney's in. And you know what the price of gas is here? It's like about $1.20 a liter. That's a heck of a lot better than like $1.60, $1.70, $1.80. So tell me, is that not a conservative?
That's certainly better. He's more conservative on energy policy, but everything. Still peddling green stuff too. But that's so ingrained in it now that
with everybody up here, it doesn't matter who you vote for.
So again, that where I bring Prager in, and indeed, they should change the name of the Liberal Party. They're not classical liberals. They're leftists.
Yeah. So overall, you gave it what did you say? A B?
I gave it a B+, A-, somewhere in there. I thought honestly
it was the best Superman movie ever. It was such a great script. And then look, and it's got the dog in it. That's what got me hooked right from the beginning when I saw that trailer.
Yeah,
Crypto
the dog
comes and saves
the
Superman
dog actually does help.
In the trailer.
He does.
Yeah.
He does help the script. He plays another part further into the film too, and in helping out. He's almost a member of the Justice Gang of himself in a way. But
my dog is just like him. He has behavioral issues.
Leroy was too. Leroy, when I was younger, that's why I love crypto in this. Reminds me of Leroy.
You should see my dog in the morning. He is crypto, man. He's like, he just comes bolting into the bedroom, and he jumps up on my bed, and he's like, up like poof right on top of me, like licking me, like, get out of bed, it's time to go. Just like that he is just the same. It's very much the same. So I was like, this is a great dog.
So I will be very interested to see where they go with a next film. I really will be interested in seeing that.
What did you like? What did you think of the costume?
I thought the costume was very good. I mean, but I forgot I was going to say, because you say, oh, it's the best ever. Again, like in the book Kennedy that I got coming out, Fantastical is chapter 2. Kennedy's imaginary friend, from a comic book inspiration. I dedicate the second chapter to Christopher Reeve. I said this on the last show. He will always be Superman in my heart.
Christopher Reeve, you mean?
Yeah, for various reasons, though. Yeah,
I like this guy. I think he's a great Superman. The thing with the Christopher Reeve stuff is, even as a kid, I found the storylines. The first movie was okay. It was a little bit slow for me, and it just felt, even at that time, sort of just a little too sanitized or plastic to me. This has the grit. This has the depth. This is adult enough for me. Even as a kid, those Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, they were just a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, the 70s and 80s comic books were indeed the more syrupy version, kid version, comic booky, whereas now, since what was it, Zack Snyder and Sin City and whatever, the darker side of comics is coming out and back, like the Keaton Batman, as opposed to obviously the campy 70s versions.
Yeah, we had all the Tim Burton stuff, and and that actually, the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton, that was a turning point for superhero movies, because
I loved it.
It was
very
adult, very dark. So it took
more true. More true to the Superman's dark side. And again, I mean, Batman. Sorry, I screwed up there. Yeah, it was the same thing. Batman's darker side, what made him him. And clearly, it's like the Five Finger Death Punch song, right? Wrong side of heaven, righteous side of hell. We're multifaceted things. We're complex.
Yeah, but you see, this movie resonated with me. I watch a lot of these other superhero movies coming out right now. I can't stand them. Aquaman.
I did not.
I just watched Aquaman.
Yeah,
I
haven't
was a piece
seen most of those
trash.
Yet.
It was like this superhero meets World Wrestling Federation. Weird, like fantasy.
I didn't see. And I like Jason Momoa because I loved him in Stargate Universe or Stargate Atlantis when he got his start. I like Jason Momoa and I like some of his other movies, but I've got no desire to see Aquaman. I did not see the Thunderbolts movie. I have no desire to see that.
A lot of these films, what they become too fixated when they're producing them, too fixated on the special effects and the action. Got to have another fight. So that movie,
I loved The Flash. That's on my system now. I might see that. Oh, I highly recommend seeing The Flash. You don't need to have seen the series or the Red Witch series, which plays into The Flash. Or no, that was in the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse. I love that one too. And again, I didn't see that spin-off of the Red Witch series, but enough of the character to understand what she's doing in the movie there. And the movies are good enough as a standalone. Like a lot of people like Loki. I didn't see the Loki spin-off movies, but I knew enough of them when he's in the other films to understand him and why he's there without having to watch the Loki series.
Wow. Yeah.
At any rate,
see, this is prompting people to text me our conversation right now. That's why I'm looking at my phone.
Well, I can't see. All I see is a red background. It says Richard Walker, red background, and a Corvette logo in the middle. That's all I see.
Yeah.
So,
well, anyway.
I see Superman. I see a red blob with the Corvette logo in the middle for you, and I can see my presence. This is what I see on my screen. At any rate, I better get going.
Just one last thing, because I'm going to let you help me wrap this up here, Joseph. I'm glad you went to see the movie. I appreciate you doing that, keeping an open mind, and this is a great discussion on 2 nights now.
Hey, I can be wrong. I can admit that I can be wrong. I can admit that I can be fooled by somebody who I thought was giving me something straight that clearly wasn't. I know you enough, trust you enough to have felt you were giving it to me straight. And believe me, if I'd have seen it and I thought it was a woke piece of shit, I'd have come back here and given you hell for misleading me to get me to see the thing.
And if you hadn't liked the movie, that would have been cool too.
Yeah,
like my wife.
I would love to go on Jesse Waters' show and give him my what's what about him misleading people.
Yeah, and see, my wife, she got something totally different out of the movie. To her, it was just a piece of cheese. right? That's what she came away from it with. But as I said the other night, she's a banker. She just views the world in a different way. I come from a world of, media, film production, video production, journalism, media, right? So I view things in just a different way than she does.
Yeah.
So
I come at
she still
all
enjoys
these. Yeah, I come at these as I was never a comic book kind of nerd growing up or anything. I don't own any comic books, but I enjoy these. Usually, I think there's way too many comic booky stuff out now and too many sequels. But I see some of them, like the next Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man one with again the multiverse stuff again. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting, trying to bring all the Spider-Men back together. It was interesting. But I come at it from a movie buff standpoint, always being a movie lover ever since I was young. So I like seeing almost any type of movie, unless if it's like a snow woke.
Well, as I said, I said to you earlier today when we were texting, I said, you and I have to do this more often. We should have other discussions about these movies, especially if they relate to, culture and the news of the day and political issues, because these are very thought-provoking discussions, I think.
Well, I brought up Mike, aka Savaged Unfiltered. I still co-host with him a lot. Jokester Joe. My latest name is Raging Joe. I get on my soapbox and rage. But we've been doing movie review things, and we had the director Romuald Belanger, I think, from France, on the other day, talking about On the Line, the Mel Gibson movie, because I mentioned it to Mike months ago that it was a great movie, and Mike then finally saw it and he loved the movie, about shock casters, the term I created. We're not shock jocks, we're shock casters at times. And Mel Gibson plays a shock jock in that movie, and I call Romuald Bollinger kind of a new M. Night Shyamalan. The twist at the end you don't want to give away, and you want to see that movie On the Line. And he heard us do a movie review. Someone sent Our Line's production, hey, did you hear these two clowns did a review of On the Line a month or so ago? And he listened to it, so he told his secretary, reach out to those knuckleheads and say I'll come on and talk to them. And we had him on last week, so that was a lot of fun. So I like doing movie reviews with him. I'll be happy to do more movie reviews with you too.
Cool. All right, well, I look forward to that. And you know what, just one last thing I'm going to share with you. I shared it with people here the other night. For me, when I went to see Superman, it was a date night with my wife, and it sort of rekindled the past for both of us, right? So that was a great thing, and I think it's healthy for our society when we have good movies for people to go see, because it's a social thing. It's a great way for people to go out on a date night, and our communities need these things and good movie theaters and stuff, right?
Yes.
So
and there's the
Oops.
They're more open with that's going on. Whereas the earlier ones, they played up the, trying to keep it. Well, they're still trying to keep it on the down low, but more people know and, see with their own eyes what's going on, obviously. So there's that romance thing. And I like the line about where she's saying, I knew this wouldn't work. And, he's like, well, what do you mean? And she says, I'm just not good with relationships. And that was a very other touching human side of all of that, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share this with you as we wrap up tonight. This is a song I'd actually been working on for a while before going to see the movie, knowing that we were going to do this, my wife and I. And so I'm going to share this song with you, carrying things out at the end of the show. So, Joseph, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on with me here tonight. I hope you enjoy this. I played it the other night. I'm going to play it one more time. made this for my wife. It's called Open the Door, because see, first time we went out, I asked her out and we went to go see a movie. And then after the movie, I was like, I would like to kiss her, but I was like too afraid. And so I didn't kiss her. She kissed me. And this is what this whole song is about. It's about having the courage to do that. And, you know, now after
our life would have been different had she not done that.
Oh,
right?
yeah. She trapped me. She trapped me. And
reel them in,
that's
reel
right,
them in.
Literally. But it all started with a movie. And
I didn't realize the pun. I'm talking fish as in fishing reel. Reel as in the film. Yeah, I didn't even mean the pun, and there it is.
But you know, even now, after 40 years of marriage, you know, as I said to her, all you got to do is just open the door. Here we go. This is the song.
He asked her out with a nervous grin, heart pounding like a storm rolling in. She said yes with a spark in her eyes, and he dreamed of her 'neath moonlit skies. They shared a movie, popcorn, and a glance. Her laugh lit his world like a slow, sweet dance. At her mama's porch, his heart wished to soar, but the kiss he craved, he couldn't explore. She stood on the stairs, opened the door, pulled him close, gave him something more. Her lips met his in the soft twilight, and love was born 'neath the stars that night. 40 years on, when the fire feels thin, she can still reach the heart within. Just stand on the stairs, open the door, and let love in like she did before. The years flew fast, kids grown and gone, just them now with the quiet of dawn. She misses his touch, the fire in his gaze, the warmth is faded in life's busy maze. They tried a new date, the same old show, popcorn and laughter, letting love grow at their own front door in the evening's glow. She searches for courage she used to know. She stood on the stairs, opened the door, pulled him close like she did before. Her lips met his, no need to pretend. Their love's a flame that won't ever end. 40 years on, the spark's still there. If she reaches out, if she dares to care, just stand on the stairs, open the door, and let love in forevermore. It's hard yet simple, this task at hand, to stir the flame in her gentle man. No words are needed, no perfect plan, just one kiss to show she still can. She takes his hand like that night long ago, steps up on the stair, lets her feelings show. With a gentle smile, she pulls him near, kisses him soft, wipes away the years. The past comes alive, their love's still true. The fires rekindle like the night they knew. She opened the door like she did back then, and found her forever, her gentle man. She stood on the stairs, opened the door, pulled him close like never before. Her lips met his 'neath starlit skies, and love came back with no disguise. 40 years on, she's found it again, the key to the soul of her truest flame. Just stand on the stairs, open the door, and let love in like she did before. Oh, stand on the stairs, open the door, let love in forevermore.
Beautiful, beautiful. It reminds me of a movie. I can't think of what movie it was, but there was a similar thing, right? The guy and the girl are out and they come to the porch and the kiss doesn't happen. And so she goes in and then she leans up against the closed door wondering, did something go wrong? She opens the door again and he's still standing on the porch, also bewildering, wondering if it went wrong. And she runs out and embraces him and kisses him. So I can't remember what movie that was, but they kind of play out that scene a little more dramatically. Do you remember what movie that was, or do you not know what movie I'm referring to?
It's called My Life.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I was very lucky because after I finally sent that to my wife, I got another one.
All right, brother.
All right.
Take care. God bless.
Love you, Joseph.
We'll see you later.
Thank you for doing this. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.